Yep, fish on. Welcome to another video. You join me today on the River Swale in North Yorkshire. We are chub fishing. It is bitterly cold. Probably the only fish you want to be fishing for this time of year. They're always a good chance of a bite. You know, all day long as well, morning, midday, dusk. We're going to be fishing super light. I've got the Challenge XT range with me, so we're going to be trying to winkle some fish out on the feeder rod and on the 11-foot specialist rod. And we're just going to be bouncing down the river, looking at some light looking spots. Just give 10-15 minutes in each one and then just keep moving around till we find some fish, and then we'll probably settle in somewhere for dusk and try and catch fish just going into dark as well with some smellier baits. So here we go, fingers crossed. So the first method I'm going to start on today, it couldn't get much simpler. I've got 11-foot Challenge XT specialist rod. I've got a 3000 size Super Team reel. It's got 8-pound line on it. To some people that might sound a little heavy, but you know, you are putting the bait right in the snags. You need that bit of backbone and that power to be able to get those fish out. Also, depending upon the bait I'm fishing, there's a lot of barbel in here as well. So if I should hook one of them, I want every chance of landing it. So all I've done is I've just run 8-pound main line straight the way through. I'm not going to fish a hook length to start with. I'm going to see if I can get away with just fishing straight to the hook. It is running really low and very clear. So if I'm struggling for bites, I might just put a hook link on, maybe some fluorocarbon, probably something about 5-pound. But for now, I'm going to fish straight through. Super simple. I'm fishing big bits of flake or big bits of cheese paste on this setup. So I'm actually fishing a size 2, which again sounds big, but you know, there is no bait that is too big for a chub's mouth. I can guarantee you that. So I just tie that on, super simple. There are days where that is all I would use, but if I was fishing just cheese paste, then the weight of the bait is enough to be able to cast out and maneuver around the swim. But because I'm going to fish a bit of flake as well, I'm going to put a couple of swan shot, probably about 18 inches above the hook. Just pinch them on lightly. You don't want to damage the line, and also, you know, if you have a fish running through a snag, you don't want anything kind of getting in the way. You want these to be able to ping off if they need to. Just like that. Perfect. That is the rig. Nice and simple, doesn't get any more simple than that. I've been fishing this rig since I first started fishing for chub, which is a long time ago, and it has worked effectively since then until now. I've caught all my biggest fish on this rig, and I've been really successful with it over the years. So fingers crossed it'll work today. So we've dropped into this peg. It's on the inside of this big bend coming around here. So you're tree lined all the way down here. It's just on the inside of this bend, so you've got the current pushing right out like that, and it's just causing this lovely little crease down here, just running down the edge of this tree. So you've got all this lovely stiller water on the edge of the flow, just running down this tree line here. That is a perfect place for a big chub to sit. So not only do they want to be in the slower water so they're not expelling energy while they're waiting to eat, but also they love sitting up in the snags just to feel comfortable and safe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the current to help swing the bait into this more still area on the edge of that crease. So I'm going to cast out just into the flow, let a bit of slack line out, let the bait sink down, and then I'm just going to trap the line on the spool with my finger, and then hopefully that'll push that bait right into here, and it will sit just on the edge of the flow, which is where the bait is going to collect as it's coming around that corner. Just it's going to settle on in between the calm and the flowing water. So that's the theory anyway. So you want a big visual bait, as I said, size 2, no problem for a chub at all. Big visual bait, just pop that in there. What you do, you pinch it around the line, leave the bottom end all fluffy, and then you can just put that in there just like that, and that will blow up to about twice, maybe 2.5 times the size of that bait now once it's in the water. So we've walked up to the top of the beat. We fished a couple of pegs on the way up with the 11-foot specialist rod, just spending like a few minutes just in a couple of pegs, bit opportunistic, just double swan shot, flake, just trundling it through under a few bushes, just seeing if we can nick a fish just early on. We've come up here now, I've swapped over to the feeder rod, and we're just gonna spend a little bit more time in a few more select spots and just put some bait through the feeder and just try and draw some fish up from some overhanging trees and some cutting banks just below us. So we'll spend about 15-20 minutes here. It's a bit pacey, so I'm going to cast about every 3 or 4 minutes and just let that bread flake just go down the swim through the trees and hopefully entice some fish out and come up onto the hook bait. In winter, you don't need to spend too long in any one peg. I generally find if the fish are there, you'll get a bite quite quickly. So, famous last words. Yep, fish on. Well, look at that. First chuck on the bread feeder, and I've had a tiny little pluck, and then another little pluck, so I hit it. We got fish on. This is perfect. I've fished this swim a few times in the winter before, and I've never really done that well out of it, but it always looks good. And then we've got a lovely chub. Oh, brilliant. Look at that. Great big mouth, holding itself out in the flow. I'll just get that long net out. I'll try and get just below it, and then I'll just let the current bring the fish into the net. Just like that. Oi! Get in! Oh, it's a lovely first fish. Brilliant, brilliant. I'll just put this fish just in this edge to recover quickly. That bait has been in the water about 3 minutes, just on the outside of the mouth. I don't think I'd have had him on for much longer. In a faster flow, or if I'd had to put a bit of pressure on him, I think that might have popped out. Look at that, straight out. So, first real swim of the day. As I said, like we dropped in a couple of swims on the way up, but the first time I got the feeder out, I've put it out just down the inside, going into this little overhanging tree. It's a bit of a cutting bank. Tip's gone over in about 3 minutes. Tiny little bang bang. We've had this lovely winter chub. Look at that, absolutely perfect. Beautiful fish. I'd probably put that about 3.5, 4 pound maybe. Great big mouth. Look at that. As I said before, there's no bait that will not go in a chub's mouth. It's absolutely huge. And that is just on a winter's day. It's bright as well. It's absolutely gin clear. I'm so happy that we've managed to winkle a fish out early on. That has absolutely made my day. It is as cold as a block of ice. Just absolutely made up. My favourite type of fishing for probably my favourite fish. Just let it sit in the edge there. Just till it starts kicking, just like that. Look at that. Yes! So we just moved down just below the tree line that I caught that other fish above. It's probably only about 50, 60 yards. We've come into this little spot. It's a great tree with a big weed raft over the top of it, just, you know, 10 meters downstream of me. I've put the feeder down. It's about 4 or 5 foot. I really fancy this one for a fish. I have fished it previously and had barbel out of it. So I'm really hopeful that we can get another fish out of this one. The sun's just poked its head out, so you know, it's turning out to be a nice day so far. A few more fish will make it perfect. As always, when the camera wasn't rolling, cameraman was changing battery, dropped into that peg just below where I had the other fish. A couple of minutes, tips gone right round, and I've been graced with this beautiful winter chub. Why would you fish for anything else in the winter when you can catch these? Absolutely beautiful. So he's gone 5, 9 with the sling. So I reckon the sling's about, I don't know, 12 ounces, pounds. So we'll call it about 4.5. Is about right. Okay. Lovely fish. One last look at him. Oh. Boy, lively, wants to go back. Perfect. Ready? Boom. Oh no, don't do this to me. Confident, wasn't I? Yeah, just put it straight out the tree, trying to be super stealthy. That's how it was supposed to go. Couldn't have wanted it any better. Just dropped it 10 inches this side of that weed raft. As soon as it hit the water, took some line off the reel, let it sink straight down, glide underneath. Lovely. So just coming into dusk, best time to catch chub. My favourite time of the day is basically why I come fishing. Like all the stuff I do in the daytime is all geared towards like the last hour of light, first hour of dark. I intentionally didn't fish this swim all day because it just looks like a banker for the evening. It's a really nice cast. There's no really obscuring branches, which means I'll be able to cast in the dark once I've got my eye in. First cast didn't put it straight up the tree. It looks really good for a fish. It looks about 10 foot underneath this tree and this weed raft here. So I'm going to fish the bread flake. So as predicted, I had a bite right on bite time, but struck into the fish, 2 nods of the head, and hook link snapped right up by the knot, up by the swivel. Don't know, maybe it rubbed up against the branch underneath those snags. But I've had one more cast and we'll see if we can catch his mate. But if not, challenge completed. 2 lovely chub on a winter's day. Super easy fishing. Lovely little 10-foot rod, 3000 size reel. Challenge XT kit, loaf of bread, really simple and fun fishing. I highly recommend it. Just put some warm clothes on.